Shalom, everybody. Welcome back to Harav Gottlieb's articles. In the back of Giving, the translation from Matan Torah, we are in the middle of the fifth article in the back called Levels of Love. So we're in the second paragraph on page 159. God says that our animal sacrifices are despised. From Amos 5:21. That is, God despises the way we are attempting to come close to Him, because sacrifices in Hebrew, korbanos, have the root word of karov, closeness. Because way back when, in the times of the Holy Temple, of the Beit HaMikdash, when we would bring korbanos, given our deep and high spiritual madrega, our level, we were able to get into a deep meditative state and contemplate how the sacrifice is supposed to be us, and the dynamics of what actually took place spiritually, mentally, and also perhaps physically as far as bringing a sacrifice over there is not something that we can comprehend in this generation. But the sages tell us that our prayer service, particularly the sections that have to do with the sacrifices, are a replacement for said sacrifices that we cannot do today due to the lack of the Beit HaMikdash. Now you can say in a more general sense that not only are the sections of the korbanos, but tefillah in general, in essence, we're supposed to make ourselves a korban. We're supposed to sacrifice ourselves and put our full intent and energy into the prayer. But more times than not, we're in a state of lethargy. Even if we have some alacrity in our holy service, let's say prayer in this regard, in this example, we don't have the exacting intention and strength as the Piazesna Rebbe, the Eish Kodesh, speaks about in Chovat Talmidim, the obligations of the student, the great poison of the character traits of laziness and lethargy, and how amazingly difficult it is to uproot. The Rebbe Zatzal, Rebbe Baruch Shalom, also says that one can be, yes, seemingly alacritous and do plenty in the realm of Torah and mitzvot on the surface, but can still be very lazy and lethargic in terms of their intention. On the surface, someone could look like an absolute tzaddik, someone super righteous, but on the inside, they're not really doing the inner work to try to focus on trying to give, wanting to give. Even wanting to give is a huge level. So maybe closer to wanting to want to give, or wanting to want to give, and so forth. So our service, at least in this example in the text of prayer, is the substitute for the korbanos. And according to this, God despises the way we're attempting to come close to Him. The Rebbe Shita continues, we come to synagogue and shout to God to bring us closer, but our heart is not in it. We don't even have a conception of what it means to come close to God. Bala Sulam explains that getting close to God means acquiring similarity of form, as we've spoken about in the fourth essay of the articles, and it's a synonymous term for dvekut, cleaving to God, or adhesion with the Creator. Similarity of form, that is, acquiring characteristics similar to the divine. The Talmud says, quote, just as He is merciful, just as He is generous and merciful, also you be generous and merciful. From Masechet Shabbat 133b. And of course, the idea is not to be merciful on the basis of self-love, meaning egoistic love, as when you expect that tomorrow the other will give you, just as you gave to the other today. True selflessness is so far from our natural mindset as to be inconceivable. At least this is certainly true at the start of our spiritual journey. And it can seem like an arduous, long road ahead, but if we're here, that means we can do it. The Rebbe Shita continues. One key to spiritual development is finding a quality environment. The Rebbe Tzila goes as far as to say it is the most important mechanism for spiritual development. Man is like a tree of a field. Only makes sense to plant a tree in the most efficient soil so that it grows to its potential. God created humans to be social creatures, and a person's environment is a critical and dominant factor throughout the course of one's life. Even if our spiritual genetics are at a low level, nonetheless, a society at a higher level can influence our low quality and bring us to a higher rung on the human ladder. However, it will require a significant amount of suffering, for only when we have afflictions, we have a push to move forward in our development. Still, we'll need to make a choice, for the fundamental earth element in our spiritual genetic makeup constantly drags us down, as if dragging us to the earth, toward all sorts of deviations from our path. Generally, the element of earthiness is akin to laziness and lethargy as well. However, the elements of fire and air within us can arouse us to climb to a higher level where we can use our afflictions as a springboard to attain a greater human quality. As fire and air are higher elements in the sense of fire actually goes up. Air can go in any direction, but also has an upward motion in contrast to the gravity of Earth itself and the way that water flows down. Which element will dominate? The choice is ours. Although an environment with good values may give us partial lessons on how to be giving, nonetheless our lives may remain founded on self-love. People are taught to adopt the laws of family purity because it reduces statistically the incidence of cervical cancer, seeming to imply instead of upholding family purity for the sake of upholding family purity, because that's the Creator's intention, and there are exacting spiritual processes and laws drawn from spiritual roots that have to do with family purity that will help lead one to their desired refinement and correction and connection with the Creator. But rather from coming that perspective, people are taught what's good for their ego, because it's pleasurable to imagine to oneself that one has a lesser statistical chance of cervical cancer by means of upholding family purity. It strengthens the family when we eat festive meals together and can often just be a pleasure to sing and rejoice with others. It's great to be together and to sing and to rejoice. But is God there? And so on for a wide range of perceived benefits for being religiously observant. In general, we are taught that if we follow the Torah and the mitzvot, then we will have a better life in this world, and certainly in the next world. All this is based on self-love. Even someone who seeks closeness to God wants to receive the great joy that stems from contact with the divine. This is like the story of Herschel from Ostropol, who made a bet with his friend that he could teach a donkey to read from a book. Indeed, Herschel succeeded by placing various grain stalks among the pages of the book in order to reward the donkey when it brayed correctly. And so we have learned to bray with Torah and the mitzvot in order to receive our reward. But there was no other way for us to begin. Of course, the awareness is key. If we are aware that we are a donkey braying for a reward in our Torah and mitzvot, great. We can't fix something that we're not aware of. So the awareness itself and the reflection of that reality is a great salvation from the Creator, implanted and revealed within our consciousness, if we come to the point of noticing our donkeyhood, so to speak, throughout our divine service or attempt to serve the divine. Therefore, a person's education begins with giving for the sake of receiving. Too good, you'll get a piece of candy. In addition to assorted this worldly benefits as mentioned above, this also includes a great deal of education regarding the reward in the world to come. Every small detail, every small child is taught that this world is just a passageway, that is a temporary situation, and the next world is the reception room, that is the good, permanent situation. As we get older, we realize more and more how temporary our situation is. But we can accept this quietly, if we have been trained to believe that we will yet come to the eternal reception room where we will be rewarded with goodness and joy for our spiritual work in this world. Also, we believe in the inevitability of punishment in the next world if we don't follow the rules. It appears that we simply need to make an accounting regarding what is more worthwhile, to follow the rules and have eternal pleasure in paradise, or to do as we like for now, but later burn eternally in hell. Sounds fun. If this simplistic picture is indeed generally accepted, then why doesn't everyone do whatever is needed to get the eternal pleasure? For the same reason that someone who is sick with cancer doesn't stop smoking. Our desire to receive does not allow us to recognize the results of our actions, but rather drags us to whatever is easy and available. So we need to put the focus on overcoming our desire to receive. And that focus is the intention, the desire. The desire is the balabayit, as the Rebbe Shita says. The desire is the landlord, because from the desire branches thoughts, speech, and action. One could have thought that thoughts are the balabayit, but really it starts with the desire. Just as the Creator's desire to give goodness to creation is the root of all of reality, the shoresh, ratzono lativ l'nivriyav, which is the aspect of the Ein Sof. So too, we must work on our desires and have intention to at least reach the higher desires. I heard from Rav Daniel Katz regarding the notion of alignment with intention, as kavana, intention in Hebrew, is related to kivun, kav, a line, meaning to be in line, to be in alignment. To be in alignment with what? Well, I want to be a Jew. I want to be Yisrael. I want to be Yashar Kel. I want to be straight to the Creator. I want to be Lishma. I want to do and believe and to learn for the sake of the Creator. I want to be altruistic. Or at least I want, whatever the case is. If that intention, the focused intention and effort is there, then we are aligned. We're on the train. We're heading towards the destination being Tvekut, ultimate connection with the Creator, similarity form. Just as He is merciful, so too we should be. One may ask, do we need to accept all the instructions of the Torah in order to develop spiritually? Or can we choose to follow our inner guide regarding what to accept and what not? The answer is that our lowly, wretched nature does not encourage confidence in our choice of path. For we are full of instinctual inclinations, lusts, fears, and self-centered concerns. Unconscious forces make our choices questionable, so that rather than standing on steadfast principles, our opinions shift with the winds of our desires. By giving the Torah, the Creator has appended instructions to His creation regarding its proper use. And it would be foolish to insist on finding our own way to operate the machine. In practice, we have seen poor results when people have tried to create their own way of living according to their understandings and feelings. So as we continue to the process of gradually refining our motivations, we really have no choice but to follow the spiritual path that's been handed down from generation to generation from the time of Moses, Moshe Rabbeinu. The world is waiting for you. The world's waiting for me. The world is waiting for each and every one of us to work on ourselves and reach our potential and fulfill our mission, because we have something very special and unique to give to the world. So happens by this teaching, these words we just read together, that in order to actualize that mission and to bring what the world is waiting for from us, we need the Torah and the mitzvot. New Age terminology says that those involved in whatever inner work is in those communities, they call themselves, being the healers and the spiritual practitioners, light workers. I think that's a beautiful term. I think it's very in line with the Jewish mission. We're partners with the Creator. We're partners of creation, meaning we're co-creators. We also draw and influence reality with the good and the bad that we do. So what this is saying is that the world is getting more and more connected as we see to the notions of light working. And their light working is based off of their own understandings. And if they do draw from different paths and pools of wisdom, they interpret it through their own corrupted minds and understandings, and then put out something that's marketable. In contrast, we have a Masorah, we have a tradition from Moses himself, as he was given the Torah on Mount Sinai. We can talk about these lofty things and talk about Kabbalah, but this is the simple truth, is that there was this event, there was mass revelation, 3 million people, and so the tradition continues. It's a beautiful thing. And those who are connected to the Torah and the mitzvot and have the opportunity to align themselves with the proper intention, those are the true light workers. And even if others can be considered light workers to a degree, because surely they are abiding by different aspects of inner work, even if they're not familiar with the mitzvahs that they might be doing, like if you have like a kamocha, for example, loving the others yourself, and charity, and giving time and energy, honoring parents, and what have you. But there's no comparison. Torah and the mitzvot are the channels and the means to correct ourselves and reach our potential. Once we see that self-love separates us from God and connects us to the emptiness and falseness of this world, we may ask, is there indeed a way out? In the Talmud, in Kedushin 30b, God is described as saying, quote, I created the evil inclination and I created the Torah as a healing condiment for it. The evil inclination is the desire to receive, for oneself. So shouldn't the Torah enable us to have control over it? The answer, if we keep the Torah and the mitzvah with the right intention, then certainly the Torah will assist us to gain control over the desire to receive, but in a gradual manner, with effort over an extended period of time. As any healing process takes time. All medicine and antidotes are ingrained and absorbed, but it takes time to enter the body, to enter the bloodstream, to affect the mind, so on and so forth. How much more so the long, arduous process of our inner work takes time to heal. But with Bezrat Hashem, God's help, slowly but surely, the light of the Torah brings us back to the good way. We can begin by increasing the quality of our desire to receive. I thought we're supposed to come to giving. Supposed to increase my desire to receive? Yes, the quality of our desire to receive. The greater the quality it has, the more likely we will not accept the easy solutions to fulfilling desire, but instead we'll be willing to work for more complex, demanding solutions. Bala Sulam divides our desire to receive into 4 levels, in parallel to the 4 kingdoms of nature: mineral, vegetable, animal, human. Mineral are people that want to receive pleasure from resting. Vegetable are those who enjoy animal lusts but are willing to work in order to make money to fulfill their desires. People at the animal level enjoy power and honor, and they are willing to work hard in order to get the cooperation of other people to satisfy their wants. At the human level, people enjoy intellectual and scientific ideas. There's more to say, but that's a general summary of the 4 modalities of the will to receive. A further level is reserved for people who seek to enjoy connection and closeness to God. This is the highest quality of desire to receive, for it focuses on the most joyous pleasure, even though it necessitates a superhuman struggle to overcome our natural inclinations. So we see that the greater quality there is to our desire, the less we are prepared to drug ourselves with passing pleasures. Rather, if we choose this path, we avoid all confusion, and we are drawn only to an authentic life in which we work to reveal the tremendous potential that the Creator has hidden within creation. Some of those who choose a non-religious lifestyle do so because they don't want to deal with the work required for an authentic religious life. So they prefer to live in a sort of bubble of confusion, never investing in anything beyond the transient. We need to refine our desire to receive, but we need to be honest with ourselves. Our individual digestive systems cannot immediately adjust to the healthiest food. We need to change our diet step by step. In the same way, we must sense that what spiritual message we are capable of digesting at each point in our development. We must move forward one step at a time in attunement with our spiritual sensitivities. And to the point of what was stated earlier regarding the importance of a community, the importance of a proper environment. So I would say, in line with this thinking of knowing what spiritual messages we're capable of digesting, best to defer to a spiritual master who can tap into one's heart and soul, engage what is proper and what is fitting for the individual to receive in terms of spiritual message to digest. On the one hand, we need to recognize the great distance between where we are and where we should be. And this distance should incite within us a feeling of lack. As we spoke earlier in the first half of this class about creating a lack of a lack. We should pray for a lack because we have a lack of a lack. The lack is the vessel that's filled with the light. We need to constantly inspire and work through all the peaks and troughs of our spiritual levels and experience bigger and bigger lacks and realize more and more the bigger and bigger distance we have from the Creator. And the more it pains us to see the distance by means of our quality of character, as we see slowly but surely by the help of the Creator and the light in the Torah, that we are purely egoistic, then slowly but surely, step by step, we digest that truth until we get to the true prayer. We come to such a bitter state of not even wanting to live and be further ensconced in the prison of our egoism. We would rather die. And so we ask the Creator from the depths of our heart, free me from the prison, because only He has the key to bring us to the miracle that is a second nature of altruism. Again, on the one hand, we need to recognize the great distance between where we are and where we should be. But there's no necessity to be in despair over the long road ahead. God forbid. We should nourish ourselves with spiritual enrichment only in a way that assures we keep the strength to correct our failings. In summary, we note that Bala Sulam speaks in strong language when he says that the situation of human beings is at the nadir of lowliness and contamination. He wants to emphasize that there is nothing of real worth in all that makes up the world of human interest. There is nothing that is lasting, and there's no worth to be found through investing in it. Not in jealousy, not in lust, not in honor, and even not in intellectual insights in the Torah, which is so often a well sought out goal of Torah communities. For all these can give us only momentary pleasure and then leave us empty. The single thing that has worth is God. And then as a corollary, whatever is connected with God. In our prayers and Shabbat mornings, we see that there's nothing like God in this world, and there will be nothing but God in the world to come. This is in contradiction to those who imagine themselves receiving all kinds of delight in the next world, receiving all kinds of pleasures in this imaginative vision of the Garden of Eden, of heaven, just enjoying. No, there's nothing but the Creator. It just so happens that our souls, being disconnected from the bodies and existing in a realm of spirituality above time and space, a realm of spirituality being the one and only existence of spirituality being the Creator Himself and being one with Him. Our consciousness being eternally infused with the experience of infinite, ultimate love and goodness. That's it. Only God is eternal. And anyone who does connect with God experiences an eternity of absolute and wondrous bliss. God willing, we should be able to inch slowly but surely, step by step, in correcting ourselves. The next essay will be women and children. As it said, we do not teach Torah to women and children. But what does women and children actually mean? What is a woman? What is a child? How do these inner aspects of our consciousness equate to this notion of not revealing aspects of the Torah to them? We'll find out. All the best.